It's time for us to come back to order. And we'll proceed with the business. We'll proceed with our new business. The next item on the agenda is personnel meeting documents that came out of the committee. The first item is the director evaluation policy. So we have been working on a new policy. We had an old one that was created. We've never actually done director evaluations. We were very close. COVID hit. Everything fell apart. So we're trying to get back into that role. And we have a director evaluation policy. Do I have a motion to get it on the floor for discussion? To
put the evaluation policy
on the floor for discussion. Okay. Debbie made a motion, Erica second. Okay. Are there any comments, any questions? The ones that weren't on the policy, that weren't on the committee that have the policy. Okay. Okay. Yes.
Can I borrow this for a hot second?
Let me turn my mic.
Oh, right, it's fine.
The library director evaluation policy.
No question.
Okay. All right. So we'll have a roll call vote on yes or no on the policy. We discussed it. Do I have, with it on the floor and no questions, then we're going to vote yes or no on the policy.
I move to call the question.
Okay, thank you. All right, Joanne Daniels,
Yes.
Erica Kramer,
Yes.
Jim Holcomb,
Yes.
Beth Key,
Yes.
Debbie Martin,
Yes.
Jackie Wilbur, yes. Tammy Wilson,
Yes.
thank you. All right, we will move on to the next item on the agenda. And that is the staff survey, the self-evaluation document. Do I have a motion to get that on the floor?
I so move.
So Joanna makes a motion,
Second.
Debbie seconds, okay. The staff evaluation survey, does anybody want to make a comment or ask a question or give a little bit of background about how it came to be? It is a new part of the evaluation process. Okay. The director evaluation staff survey is 0 to 5 rating. It has several questions for the staff on the evaluation director. It is for information and communication purposes only. It will not be a part of the evaluation. It's just one of those self-studies that, lets you see. And we are going to do this so that the staff is protected. It will be anonymous. And the directors will be able to use it for their own personal growth. It's not part of the evaluation, even though it is a survey. And it will go out prior to their scheduled evaluation, and they'll get their feedback a couple of weeks before. It's my understanding. Okay. Any questions, comments? All right, I will call the question and we'll do a roll call vote again. I'm going to start with Erica this time.
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Jackie? Yes. Kay Wilson?
Yes.
And Joanna?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is the director evaluation document. I need a motion to get it on the floor.
Motion.
Okay. Kay Wilson made the motion.
Second.
And Erica Kramer seconds. Okay. We took the one that had been voted on before, looked at it, looked at other examples, looked at a list of things we wanted included in this, and this became a merging of the documents as well as the lines. So, any questions, comments along what, Jim?
Jackie, section 5, item 5 reads, Director fully and enthusiastically supports board decisions. I'd like to change that,
Okay.
simply to
Do I,
implement.
so, I need a motion to amend it. So you want to make a motion to amend that one section?
Correct.
Okay. Item 5, okay. Do I have a second on?
Well, can I
Right
finish
now.
reading?
Well, explain it.
I'm sorry, thank you. Yeah, I could say that I want them to keep it in train monkeys, and nobody would get it.
Right.
It currently reads, fully and enthusiastically supports board decisions. I'd rather change it to less subjective language, and just put director implements board decisions.
Director implements board decisions. Now, would you like to put that in form of a motion?
I have another concern. Would you like these to be
Okay.
separate?
I'm
or-
sorry, I'm
That's okay.
rushing you.
Would you like them to be separate motions, or?
No, let's go ahead.
Okay, and then I have a little challenge with the subjective nature of a 1 to 5 rating. I think, having been victim or recipient of, such a ranking, I think, the heart of an evaluation comes in the narrative and comes in the conversations that we have with directors. So I think, directors are either doing or not doing these things. And then if there is, room for growth or attention, that can be documented in the narrative piece. But I'm not sure a 1 to 5 rank or a don't know or no response, is fair. But
The not applicable is there.
sure.
Yes.
You're on.
Oh, then I'll stop.
So one of the things I like about it is it does have the up to 5, but it also has the definition of what that means. So 5 is outstanding, it has a description beside it, so that it really does kind of break down each, so that's on page 2. And that was something that was very important to us when we were putting it together, that it would help bring people along near the same page when they were putting a number down. But then what I do love about it, as well as each question, each section has a comment section on the bottom,
Right.
Underneath each one, so that things can be written out to explain your numbers.
May I comment also? If you look at the end of the evaluation 2 as well, it says that there's a section that says that any 1s and 2s need to be, there needs to be an explanation of those. And we made the staff survey 1 to 5 just simply to mirror the 1 to 5 in the evaluation, just so that you understand the background.
And also, maybe with this one, as you look at the 1 to 5, as you rate them as 1 to 5, each, at the end of each one, there's comments. Those could be comments from the evaluator and also include comments from the director. You could get both of that narrative in that comment section. Does that help?
I understand the intent.
Okay. So you've got a little of the objective and the subjective combined there. And it's hard to put together any kind of evaluation.
Okay.
It's hard. I have been I have been victim or whatever of many of those, my entire career as well. So, now, do you want to put your change for the implements, do you want to put that in the form of a motion to amend it?
Madam Chair, I would like to separate said motions,
Okay,
and the first being to amend the language in section 5 as previously noted.
okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Joanna seconds. So, I'll go to a voice vote on this one. All in favor of that amendment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so now we're back to the document, unless you want
I'll make my motion to make
Okay.
a binary rating of acceptable and unacceptable with another rating for no observation or unable to.
to, okay, there is on that.
Well,
There is,
yeah,
says
when I
not.
use binary, I didn't want, you know,
Right.
to leave out
So,
the
the zero doesn't look good, so we can put it on, it's got the
Not
end
applicable.
to it, so we can
Right.
go with that rather than the zero.
I would put a non-applicable, satisfactory, or unsatisfactory,
Okay. Okay.
as opposed to the numerical range.
Joanna?
Are we opening this up for a comment?
He's made the motion to amend, right?
I'll withdraw my motion in favor of discussion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Joanna?
Okay, so I wanted to ask a question here. So we did the 0 to 5, and by the way, I see exactly where you're coming from,
Mhm.
absolutely. We did the 0 to 5 for the staff survey to mirror the evaluation. So are you wanting to make, I mean, is your intent to switch both to 0 to 1, or are you just wanting to do the director evaluation 0? Like, are you wanting 1 or 2 or 0 1?
My understanding is we don't see the staff feedback survey.
We do.
We do. I'm sorry, I missed that.
And the director does as well. It's just not a part.
It's not a part of that survey, okay. I
That is
think,
totally just for their information.
yeah, I think that's fine the way it is, as their staff would likely have a better idea of the gradation of their performance. But for us as directors, especially since we're not using that, I think the binary rating would be probably better feedback for them with the narratives attached.
And also, with this, as far as maybe you and I have seen it, we don't have a passing, there's not a passing grade here. It's just we're looking at it, anything below a 3 is gonna be explained and, encouraged as a refinement part along the way. So there's really not a rubric that says you got an A, B, C, D, F. Okay? So you withdrew your motion, now do you want to add your motion back on the floor?
Madam Chair, I'm willing to die in this hill. So yes, I raised my motion for a binary rating system, well, I guess which would include a not applicable to the rate, as opposed to the current numerical system we have now.
So what you're wanting to do is do away with the numerical
The
system?
numerical, and instead replace it with a satisfactory, unsatisfactory, or not applicable.
Okay. Do I have a second for that amendment?
That's okay.
Hearing none?
That's okay. Thank you.
Hearing none. Thank you for the observation, because we can always go back. If this doesn't work, and if it doesn't, if nobody likes it, then we will call you in as you can come in as a correspondent, and you can help us with the next one. Okay. Back to the original motion. Ready to call the question? Okay. Roll call this time. Jim, you get to go first.
Yes.
Okay. Beth,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Jackie, yes. Kaylee,
Yes.
Joanna,
Yes.
Erica.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Beth, did you get all of the motions and? Okay. If you have any questions, we can maybe start with that. The next one are the policy documents that came out of the policies committee. The first one is the computer use and internet safety policy. I need a motion to get it on the floor.
Motion.
Okay, Kaylee Wilson makes the motion,
Second.
and Erica Grammer seconds. Any discussion, questions, concerns on this one?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Page 2, first line, states library personnel will offer some additional help. I respectfully request we change that language to library personnel may offer some additional help and answer basic questions, etc. So as not to bind them.
On my copy, I have that correct, changed where it came out of committee that way. We just didn't have anybody retype it because the original, if I scanned it in PDF, I can't make the corrections on it. But I can try to recreate the entire document with that change in there. And I know also, there was one that said that on my copy, these time limits are set on all our patrons seeking access will have the opportunity to use the available resources. And I think that's on page 1 under computer use, cardholders may. And that was just, rather than stopping an opportunity to use the available, we just kind of we're cleaning that language up just a little bit. And that was one of the other corrections I made on
What
mine.
was that? I'm sorry.
It's on page 1.
Yes, that just sounded good.
Okay. And all I have is after opportunity, I just have a caret that says to use the available resources.
Where's opportunity?
It's the third
These
one.
time limits are set so all library patrons seeking access
Okay.
to use the available resources. And then on my copy, age 17 is considered adult according to the SIPA. We had to add that back in to the language to make the state requirement. So I've got the changes on my copy. I've got the changes on my policy unless somebody sees something else. And I will recreate this in an official, official copy with all that correct and get it out to you. But on my copy, this is what we'll vote on, okay?
And that is stuff we previously discussed in
Yes,
September.
it came out,
Was that September?
Yes, it came out, yes, it came out of,
It was the September meeting, I think that we did that discussion
yes, And it was basically
in October.
standard, it was basically standard what everybody uses. And it also, on the last page, includes the internet safety form that they're using for permission data. Anything else?
May I ask for clarification?
Okay, yes.
So the question that we had about the wording, it will be corrected in the final copy.
Right. So I'll go and just retype the whole thing and get it out. Won't be till after Thanksgiving. I won't promise it will be anywhere in December, but sometime I'll try to get to you before the next meeting, so, and get it posted.
And I can help you with that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, now, are we ready to call the question? Okay.
Call the question.
Thank you. Beth,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Jackie, yes. Kaylee,
Yes.
Joanna,
Yes.
and Erica,
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad I saved my corrections on that one, but we will get back.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. The next one is the collection development management and censorship access policy. And I'll need a motion to get it on the floor.
So moved.
Debbie makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Joanna seconds. Okay, for discussion.
Jackie?
Yes.
So, I do have, some amended copies with some suggestions that I can pass out to everyone. And some of these, suggestions were given by Cecilia,
Okay.
our regional,
Right.
you're at Red River. You know. Did everybody have one?
Yes.
Okay. Carol?
Okay.
And then also, there were a few, when I did contact legal again, because I've done this numerous times, there were a few things. So there's a few things in the green. So
Okay.
under selection process, the responsibility for selection of library materials starts with the library directors, who operate within the framework of the policies determined by the Sumner County Library Board. The library directors will provide a monthly inventory list of newly purchased materials to the library board. Any materials that cannot be determined by the library director to comply with the collection, development, and management policy will be submitted to the library board for their determination. And this was stated because, all in all, we as the library board are the last and final yay and nay for anything that happens in the libraries. So there's that in the selection process. The selection guide, what I added there was her, Cecilia, and saying that we were missing, I guess, this part. And it says books, so selection guide is the same, except for it says books and materials containing sexual themes or content are reviewed by the library director to determine if the content goes against the policy for protecting children from harmful, sexually explicit material in the library and for age appropriateness, and then cataloged accordingly, even if this overrides the age appropriateness recommended by the publisher.
Okay.
So that was,
That's the part that,
that
in the city.
yes.
Where you okay.
If you go to page 3, this has been that was a concern too about it being too limited. It says, the term sex act or sexual activity includes but is not limited to any of the following descriptions. So I put that. And then also if you go to page 4, the sole exception to this policy is that the library director may carry constitutionally protected materials of the type identified in the above paragraph and descriptions 1 through 6 for bona fide research by adults. And then it was kind of redundant, so then I just went to the library director shall ensure that all such materials are kept in such a way to prevent access by children. And then this is the request for reconsideration form that Cecilia actually, she recommended, and this is from Johnson City. So I just provided a copy of it for everyone. Do you have one? Okay. All right.
So
That gets the wording from Cecilia that says the statute requires that we have to have. Did it in, and also includes the reconsideration form, which,
And I just want to reiterate that any of the stuff that I just added does not reflect or taint the intention of the policy. It's almost exactly the same. However, it does change slightly, but the intention is there. And as again, I've ran this by legal, and it doesn't change the intent of the policy. The intent of the policy is still valid and there. And then again, it adds what Cecilia had said that we need to bring into it.
okay, are there any questions as far as this policy goes?
About the amendments that she's just made, or the policy as a whole?
Well, we need to get a motion on the floor to get these amendments put in here.
We're just in discussion right now.
Okay.
These are my suggested amendments.
Okay,
Yes.
so we will have to act on that, along the way.
If there's no other questions or discussion, then I can make a motion.
Yeah.
I
I
see
still,
questions in other parts of the document, but.
okay.
Okay.
Where it's discussion,
all the page numbers are a little bit confusing, what you showed, does it correlate? Okay, my question, and maybe you addressed it in the amendments that you've just given us, but it's on page 4 of the document that our lawyer sent to us as a packet. It says the library director shall ensure that no materials containing anything in the paragraph above, which it talks about, is within reach or made available in any section of the library that minors have access to. I really don't understand how that can be enforced or how is it going to be implemented. Am I in the correct thing that we're talking about here? So I'd like a little bit more direction on what our library directors are to do with this, please. I'm asking what it means.
Is that page 4, section 2?
Yes.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not quite sure what we need the definition for. It says the library that minors have access to.
So that's anywhere in the library that the minors have access to. So our libraries are open, we have our children's section, but then there's not a separate door or barrier. So there are the adult section or the young adult section. So was asking for that may be self-explanatory, but I don't really understand how it's supposed to be managed by our directors.
Can it be done with signage? I mean, is it that simple of a fix, or can it be done? I mean, you can't tear the libraries up and borrow from places or whatever. What's an easy fix that doesn't cost money because there's not, within the budget to do things like that?
So with a policy, when we create a policy, and this is something that the library directors get to implement it, I think that if they have a question or a way that maybe in their library that they are questioning how to implement it, I mean, they could definitely email us. But I think that with any policy that's created, we don't have the responsibility of directly telling them exactly how to do it. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and I think the directors are smart enough that they can find a way.
So we're asking the directors to come up with their own policy that will ensure that they're enforcing the policy. That's kind of what we're saying. We're going to come up with their own plan to enforce this policy.
With 5 different libraries, if they're so different, it would be difficult. In larger libraries, it would be easier. In the smaller libraries, there's an issue there. And you can't send legal out there to look at it and tell them, I mean, they don't serve us, they serve the commissioners. So, there's a hard way to determine how you're following policy. Is there any way that you could reword it that would take a little bit of that pressure off of them?
I think that, again, we're following state law. And they each have their own libraries. And policy doesn't dictate what they have to do in their individual libraries. That is what, just like with all of our policies, we don't dictate where the adult section goes or the children's section go. They get to decide that. This policy is very clear, and if they have a problem, that's why we're here to help and support them. So they can simply call us because we're supposed to go to their libraries anyways and help them. So if they have a question, that's what we're here for.
So a policy could be that for children, the parent must accompany the children when they're in different parts of the library.
So if you do,
To put it back on the parent's responsibility, possibly.
That is not what we were asked to create. This is a collection and development policy. And this is simply the collection and development. This doesn't tell us what a parent has to do or tell a parent what they have to do while they're in the library. This is a policy for the library director, not parents.
but the library director can set her own policy in order to follow this policy. Is that what you're telling me?
That is not what I'm saying.
I hear it being more of a procedure versus policy.
That's right, yeah.
I hear it being more about procedure. They get to set a procedure. And it is about having less control on that, us not determining for them where they do that, how they do that. It's about creating a policy about what is brought in and what is allowed to be on the shelf where children can access it. So there are, even in Tennessee law, there's even answers to a lot of those questions of the how or what could be done. And, you know, I'd be glad to even help look for options. But this is a policy about what's allowed to be brought into the library or stay in the library on the shelves where children can access it. So it's not about they create policy, we create policy, but they get to determine procedure, which gives them freedom in how they wish to do that in their locations, because we do trust that.
So procedure to follow policy, that's what we're entrusting our directors to do.
We restrict content at that point. Restrict content, but parents are going to be within the whole library.
We need to continue with business. Okay. I still don't think that the definition of sex act or sexual activity is necessary. It will go on a public website in our county and on our library page. And if it's offensive and detrimental and explicit material that's harmful, then on our website, it will be harmful there as well. Is there any way you could take that language out? We know. And it's defined in the state of Tennessee code annotated. Why can't we take the language out that defines it? Because it's going to be on the website.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I'm gonna ask that the audience not participate while we're conducting business.
Okay. So, is there any way that you could take that out, and we could take that out, because I just don't see that it's necessary, especially if it's going to be on a website that reflects the values of Sumner County and a website that reflects the values of the library, and there it is in black and white, what's going on.
Madam Chair, with regard to that specific question, I think there's a lot of subjective interpretation to what sex acts could be. I think listing it as uncomfortable as it might be, I think we've been brought to this place by some of the books that have been placed in our libraries and the advocacy for such books.
And I don't want to harm children, and I don't want it where they
Of course
can. Nobody wants to harm them. And I do trust our librarians, our library directors, and all of their staff to be very diligent in placing books where they need to go so that, and monitoring where the children are allowed to be. I also, when I look at the books, especially even in the adult section, they're titles, and there's not covers that are being displayed. They're just books on the shelf. And but I just have a problem with making the librarians so responsible to the point that it's a felony. If it doesn't, everybody makes a mistake. And I have a problem with having that on a website that anyone can read. But if it's the will of this body, that's democracy in action. And I'm ready to call the question if there's no more. Or I'm ready to entertain a motion for the amendments that are there. And then go from there. Yes, Kathy?
In my opinion, if we don't define what sex act is, then that leaves it up to interpretation, which to me is the slippery slope.
I think that your directors would know that. They can check Tennessee Code annotated where it is defined. If the burden is on them, they're going to exercise their responsibilities to follow the law. It still doesn't have to be out there easily, sometimes where your tech-savvy kids can find it. So I see it as, if you want to protect the kids, you do everything you can to protect them. And to me, this kind of exposes what they're getting at. But as I said, I will entertain motions for the corrections, and we can proceed if it's the will of this body.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Question regarding gentlelady's questions earlier regarding how this gets implemented, right? And I have a lot of concerns about that as well. I don't like the government being the good idea fairy who creates these ideas and leaves the good people to implement policy. I've been reading TCA 3917-914, which is referenced in our policy. And again, it absolutely applies to our library situation here. That TCA in Section B, subsection 1, section C, I'll read B as follows. The state has the burden of proving that the material is displayed. Material is not considered displayed under this section if the material is, and it lists several reasons. I guess my point, and one of those being reasonable steps are taken to prevent minors from perusing the material. The other two are placed in binder racks that cover the lower 2/3 of material and viewable 1/3 is not harmful to minors, located at a height of not less than 5 1/2 feet from the floor, and reasonable steps are taken